Hey guys, tonight we are standing in a world that feels both familiar and alien. The year is roughly 2000 BCE, and you are in East Africa, somewhere along the grassy savannas and wooded highlands of what we'd now call Ethiopia or Kenya. The air is dry and warm, carrying the scent of dust, dung, and distant rain. You hear the sharp bark of baboons echoing from rocky ridges, and the low grunt of hippos wallowing in a nearby river. The sun is setting, painting the acacia trees in bronze light, and your shadow stretches long across the red earth. You're not here alone. Around you, small groups of tall, lean people move cautiously, carrying sharpened sticks, flint scrapers, and bundles of gathered roots. Their voices are soft, clicks and hums weaving through the air, punctuated by bursts of laughter or sudden warning calls. This right here is the beginning of us. The people you're looking at are Homo sapiens, our species, still brand new on the planet. Their foreheads are high, their chins jut slightly, and their eyes gleam with a curiosity that sets them apart from every other creature around. They live in groups of 20, maybe 30, not tribes with banners or kings, not yet, just families, clans, bound by survival and the need to share food and protection. Nights are filled with the glow of small fires, laughter that carries under the stars, and the low murmurs of stories, though not in words as you'd know them. The stories are told with gestures, sounds, the rhythm of a hand tapping a stone. They are the first echoes of culture. But here's the reality check. You probably won't survive this. Not with the predators, not with the parasites, not with the endless hunger and thirst. If malaria doesn't get you, a leopard might. If the leopard doesn't, then stepping on the wrong thorn and watching your foot fester could. Life expectancy around 30 years, if you're lucky. Childhood is a gamble, and yet somehow in these unforgiving lands, we not only survive, we thrive. And hey, before we wander too far into the wilderness, let me say this. The title of tonight's story is Why Did We Leave Africa? The migrations that changed humanity forever. If you're enjoying this journey into deep time, hit that like button and subscribe for more calm history storytelling. It really helps keep this channel alive, just like those campfires you're staring at kept our ancestors alive. And tell me, drop your location and your local time in the comments. I want to see where in the world tonight's global tribe is listening from, because the truth is, what we're watching unfold is the beginning of all of us. No matter who you are, no matter where you sit tonight, your roots run back here, to these fires, to these people, to this soil. So, take a deep breath, smell the wood smoke, hear the crackle of twigs, the hush of grass stirred by the wind, because from this land, this moment, begins a journey that will eventually carry us across continents, oceans, and ages. You and I, we're going to walk that journey tonight. You crouch low, close to the fire, as the group gnaws at roasted tubers pulled earlier from the ground. The taste is earthy, bitter, but full of energy, the kind you need if you're walking for miles tomorrow. Someone cracks bones with a hammerstone, licking marrow from inside, while others toss scraps into the flames. Children tumble in the dust, their laughter sharp as bird cries, while mothers braid grass into ropes. This is survival stripped down to its bare essentials, yet it's also strangely rich. Every skill here, tool making, firekeeping, sharing, keeps the group alive. Their tools are simple but ingenious. Stone flakes chipped off with practice strikes serve as knives. Some are hafted onto wooden shafts with plant resin, forming early spears. Imagine learning to make fire by rubbing wood. Yes, it takes patience, more than most of us could muster today, but once lit, the fire becomes sacred. It keeps hyenas back, warms the sick, and lets meat become chewable, safe. Fire is the center of human life, a thing of both fear and wonder. And if you drop a flaming branch into the dry grass, well, congratulations, you've invented the forest fire. Oops. By day, the people move constantly. They're not city dwellers, not even farmers yet. They follow rivers, animal herds, and the ripening of fruits. Picture yourself trudging through thorny savanna with bare feet, every step an exercise in pain tolerance. Your eyes are always scanning that bush might hold berries, or it might hold a cobra. That distant shadow, a gazelle, or a lion. And lions here are bigger, bolder, hungrier. No glass zoos, no fences, just you and your spear against 400 pounds of golden muscle. Still, it's not all terror. Sometimes it's abundance. Streams heavy with fish, branches sagging with figs, termite mounds bursting with protein-rich snacks. Yum, crunchy. Kids treat termites like candy. Adults know better. They're survival food. And then there are hunts. They're rare, dangerous, but necessary. Several men stalk a zebra, crouched low, their spears ready. They know if the first strike isn't clean, the zebra's kick can shatter a skull. But if they succeed, that's a feast for days. Every tendon stripped, every bone cracked, every scrap boiled, nothing is wasted. Even sinew becomes bowstring. Even dung becomes fire fuel. You notice something else. Cooperation. Alone, a human here is meat waiting to be eaten. Together, we're predators. Watch the way they surround a wounded animal, the way mothers pass food to children first, the way elders share knowledge of water holes. This is what gives Homo sapiens the edge. Not claws, not fangs, but community. You rely on one another to live. At night you tilt your head back and look at the stars. The sky here is massive, unpolluted, a canvas of light, and though no one here knows the names of constellations, they gaze upward with awe. Some hymn, some point. Already, minds are asking questions. What are those lights? Why do they move? What happens when we die? Out of questions, culture will grow, and out of culture the world will change. This then is the cradle, the soil where the human story begins. Every listener tonight, every one of you, whether you're in New York, Karachi, Sydney, or Cape Town, your lineage traces here, not symbolically, literally. Your DNA carries whispers of these people, these fires, these hunts, these long walks under African skies. This is not just their story, it's your story. And soon, you and they will take the first steps beyond this land, into deserts, mountains, and far horizons. But for now, sit still. The fire crackles. The night deepens. And tomorrow, the first chapter of the great human journey begins. You wake with the first glow of dawn spilling across the horizon, the grass still wet with dew, the air alive with the calls of hornbills and the distant roar of lions wrapping up their night hunt. Your back aches from sleeping on bare earth, your stomach already growls with hunger, and the mosquitoes that feasted on you in the night still buzz at your ears. Welcome to the daily rhythm of life for early Homo sapiens on the African savanna. Every day is a gamble. Survive or become someone else's breakfast. The men and women around you stir, stretching, rubbing their eyes, their hands immediately busy with tasks. Spears are checked, sharp edges of flint tools are inspected, and small bundles of dried meat or nuts are tucked into carrying pouches. This is no lazy breakfast and commute routine. This is a survival operation. You and your group live in a world where food doesn't wait on a plate. It runs, flies, hides, or grows thorny armor. The grasslands stretch wide, dotted with acacia trees whose umbrella-shaped crowns provide a little shade. Herds of antelope graze in the distance, ears flicking nervously. A giraffe lopes gracefully along the horizon, towering above everything, while warthogs scurry between burrows, tails like little flags. The land looks peaceful, even beautiful, but it's also a battlefield of hunger. Everything alive out here is trying to eat, trying not to be eaten, or both, and you are stuck in the middle. The women lead the way toward a grove, where baobab fruits are ripening. They know the land intimately, every fruiting tree, every edible root, every seasonal migration of animals. Their hands are quick and skilled, plucking berries, peeling tubers, grinding nuts. Gathering is not less important than hunting. It's the backbone of survival. One successful hunt feeds a clan for days, but it can take weeks before another animal falls. Plants, on the other hand, always wait for patient hands. But hunting, that's where adrenaline and danger live. Today, a small party of men creep toward a river bend where zebra tracks are fresh in the mud. You follow cautiously, feeling the sun already heating your skin, smelling the sharp tang of dung. The hunters crouch low, Gripping their fire-hardened spears, their eyes scan the tall grass. Every movement matters. A single crack of a twig can ruin everything. Suddenly, a zebra bolts, a flash of stripes and dust, and the hunters explode forward, shouting, spears flying through the air. One misses, another grazes its side, but a third sinks deep. The animal stumbles, thrashes, the group rushes in, circling, driving their spears down again and again, until the creature collapses. Your heart hammers in your chest. It's brutal, it's exhausting, but it's life. Tonight, the whole clan will eat well. Children will gnaw roasted bones, elders will sip marrow broth, and bellies will finally feel full. But success always comes at a price. While skinning the zebra, vultures begin circling overhead, their shadows sweeping across the ground. Within minutes, hyenas appear at the tree line, their eerie whoops echoing. You feel the hair rise on your neck. The hunters work faster, slicing meat, packing what they can carry. Hyenas don't wait politely for scraps. They'll charge, snapping, tearing, dragging away what they want. And if you stumble, well, congratulations, you've just become part of the menu. Back at camp, smoke rises from the fires as meat roasts slowly on wooden stakes. The smell makes your stomach twist in both hunger and relief. Fat drips, sizzling into the flames, filling the air with a scent so rich it makes your mouth water. Children clap and dance in excitement. The kill means safety for a little while. Tonight bones will crack open for marrow, hides will be scraped clean for clothing, and even the sinew will be saved for bowstrings. Waste nothing, that's the rule. As dusk falls, you notice the softer side of this harsh world. After eating, the group gathers close, voices mingling in rhythmic patterns. Maybe it's not language as you know it, no grammar textbooks, no witty sarcasm, but it's communication, a mix of clicks, gestures, laughter, and chants. One elder hums a repetitive tone, others clap stones together, children mimic and dance in the firelight. It's not just survival, it's joy. It's the beginning of music, of ritual, of culture. And here's the wild thought. These people aren't just surviving, they're inventing. That flint scraper? It's sharper than a kitchen knife. That spear? It's a prototype for every weapon humans will ever wield. That rhythmic chanting? It's the seed of every story, every religion, every lullaby. Out here, in the dirt, naked under the stars, humanity is becoming something more. But make no mistake, it's fragile. Tomorrow, food may run short again. A predator may attack. A child may fall ill. Every day is a razor's edge between thriving and vanishing. Yet somehow, these bands of lean, resourceful humans are not only enduring, they are multiplying, spreading, pushing the boundaries of their world. As the fire burns low, you lean back and gaze at the night sky. No street lights, no pollution, just a velvet dome pierced by millions of stars. You wonder if anyone back then looked at the same constellations we name now. Maybe not. But the awe, the curiosity, the questions, those are the same. You can almost feel the restless urge stirring in their minds, the sense that the world is bigger than the savannah, that more lies beyond the horizon. And soon, that restless curiosity will become something unstoppable. It will push these people to cross deserts, mountains, seas. It will carry them out of Africa, into every corner of the planet. But for now, as the fire crackles low, you are still here, one among the small bands of Homo sapiens who call East Africa home. The journey has only just begun. The air shifts. You feel it not just on your skin, but in the rhythm of the land itself. Rain that once came predictably begins to fail. Rivers shrink into muddy trickles. Grasslands dry into brittle yellow patches, and what was once a savanna teeming with game begins to crack open into desert. Welcome to the chaos of climate swings, an unpredictable master that shapes every decision, every movement, every chance your people have to live another day. The African continent, vast and alive, is not steady. It breathes in ice ages and exhales in warming periods. Over thousands of years, its green corridors, the river valleys, the lush belts of grass, the fertile lake shores open wide like doors inviting life to spread. Then, without mercy, they slam shut as deserts expand, dust storms rise, and water vanishes. You don't need a weather forecast to know the stakes. If you're standing in the wrong place when the land shifts, you die. You rise one morning to find the landscape transformed. The distant lake has retreated miles from the shore. The air tastes of salt and dust. Herds of antelope that once grazed nearby have moved on, following greener pastures you can't see. You and your band are left behind with fewer roots to dig, fewer berries to pluck, fewer animals to hunt. Hunger gnaws, children cry, elders grow weaker, and so, the only choice is to move. It's here that you notice how migration isn't some grand plan. It's not a single dramatic march into the unknown. It's survival, step by step, camp by camp. Year by year, your people walk along dry riverbeds, searching for signs of water, fresh tracks in the mud, the sudden flit of birds overhead, reeds where none should grow. Every sign is a whisper of hope. Some days, you follow elephants, because elephants always know where water hides. Other times, the land tests you. A sandstorm blots out the sun, choking your lungs, grinding grit into your eyes. The ground cracks beneath your feet, leaving fissures that split open like wounds. At night, the air cools too quickly, and you curl close to the fire, teeth chattering. This is no steady Eden. It's a roller coaster of climates, and you're strapped to it without seatbelts. But the flip side? Opportunity. When rains return, valleys bloom with wildflowers, grasses grow waist-high, and rivers run full and clear. The land comes alive, and so do you. Herds of gazelles stampede across plains, hippos grunt in wide lakes, and birds scatter in dazzling swarms. For a few decades or maybe centuries, it feels like paradise again. These fertile corridors become highways of survival, guiding you north, east, and west. This rhythm, the pulsing green and the withering brown, teaches humans to adapt faster than any predator ever could. You don't just endure the swings, you learn from them. When forests shrink, you invent new ways to hunt in open grasslands. When rains vanish, you store water in gourds, travel longer distances, split into smaller groups that can forage farther. Every hardship forces you to become more inventive, more flexible. It's during these swings that you start noticing something else. Your people aren't alone, not in the evolutionary sense. To the north, other humans, cousins, like Homo heidelbergensis or Homo naledi, once walked these same paths. Some have already disappeared, vanished like mirages, swallowed by time. Others, like Neanderthals far to the west and north, are still thriving in their colder, harsher lands. You may not meet them yet, but you will, and the way the land pushes and pulls, sooner or later, paths will cross. Still, for now, Africa is both cradle and cage. Imagine standing on a ridge near modern-day Ethiopia, staring north. The desert sprawls before you, a shimmering expanse of endless sand and rock. It looks like the edge of the world. To cross it is madness. To stay is starvation. But then, sometimes, the climate shifts again, and the desert softens. Rains carve new rivers, grass pushes up in fresh patches, and suddenly that impossible desert looks crossable. Not easy, never easy, but possible. And that's how migrations start. Not with fanfare, not with speeches, with a simple step, with a group of weary humans carrying what they can, following the smell of rain on the wind, chasing the distant flash of lightning, or the cry of unseen birds. One family, then another. Slowly, over thousands of years, the footprints of Homo sapiens begin pressing farther north, following green corridors when they open, retreating when they close. You feel the weight of it now. The land itself is shaping humanity. Climate swings are the whip driving you forward, the hand pulling you back, the teacher demanding you learn resilience or perish. And every cycle of change carves deeper skills into your people. Patience, memory, cooperation. Without them, the migrations ahead would be impossible. Tonight, as you sit beside the fire, sparks drifting into the dark, you can almost sense the future pressing close. The desert that blocked your path for generations is beginning to open. New grasses stretch toward the horizon. Somewhere out there lies the Levant, Arabia, Asia, the unknown, and soon, very soon, humans will step out of Africa for the first time. But the land? The land will never stop testing you. You huddle close to the fire again, but tonight something feels different. The sparks rise into the sky as always, yet the voices around the flames sound richer, the rhythms more deliberate. It isn't just grunts and gestures anymore. There are sounds patterns that carry meaning beyond the moment. A high click, a soft hum, a sharp consonant. You realize you're watching the birth of language. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans communicated, yes, but now, in these groups of Homo sapiens, something deeper is happening. Words are forming, not fully like yours, not with the vocabulary of tax returns or Wi-Fi passwords, but enough to pass knowledge in ways never seen before. A mother doesn't just point at a berry bush, she warns of poison with a specific sound. A hunter doesn't just wave toward a distant herd, he describes the direction, the number, even the timing. Suddenly, survival isn't locked in one person's head, it can be shared, remembered, improved upon. And language isn't just about danger or food. Around the fire, someone strings sounds together to mimic the call of a bird or the roar of a lion. Others laugh, repeat, play. The group joins in rhythm, a chorus of imitation and an invention. You can almost hear the roots of story, of song, of myth being planted. With each shared sound, the bonds between people tighten. A clan becomes more than a group of bodies. It becomes a network of minds. The real engine of this shift sits inside the skull. Your brain. Compared to earlier humans, Homo sapiens carry a brain wired for abstraction, for imagining what isn't in front of them. It's not just bigger, it's reorganized. That means more memory, sharper planning, and dangerous gift, self-awareness. You not only chase the zebra, you picture where it might run tomorrow. You not only fear death, you wonder what lies beyond it. Lucky you. You watch as a child scratches lines in the dirt with a stick. At first it looks like nothing, but then you notice the patterns repeat. A circle, a zigzag, a handprint pressed into clay, symbols of being born, marks that stand for ideas, not full writing yet, not even close, but a leap beyond instinct. You're staring at the earliest sparks of culture, and culture changes everything. When one band discovers that rubbing ochre on skin keeps insects away, another copies it. When one elder finds that boiling bitter roots eases stomach pain, the knowledge spreads. Instead of every group reinventing the wheel, or in this case the stone scraper, language and culture let discoveries travel faster. Innovation stacks, generation after generation. You're not just surviving anymore, you're accumulating. But don't get too cozy. Bigger brains come with bigger appetites. Literally, the energy cost of fueling this 3-pound organ is enormous. You need more calories, more protein, more cooperation. Fail, and that big brain is just dead weight. So language isn't optional, it's your survival tool. Without it, hunting large prey, sharing food, raising helpless children, and boy are human children helpless, would be impossible. Picture this. A hunt without language. 10 hunters chasing a wildebeest, each guessing what the others will do. Chaos. Wasted spears. Broken bones. But with even basic words left, wait, push. The hunt becomes coordinated. Spears fly in unison. The animal is trapped. The feast is won. Language is evolution's cheat code, and Homo sapiens are entering the game with it unlocked. And with language comes gossip. Oh yes. Don't underestimate gossip. Around the fire, voices rise not about where the water is, but about who hoarded honey, who shirked carrying wood, who's eyeing whose mate. This social glue, reputation, trust, alliances, keeps the clan together or tears it apart. You thought TikTok drama was messy? Imagine life or death alliances decided by whispered words in the dark. The most astonishing shift, though, is imagination. You look up at the night sky, and someone beside you points at the stars. Their voice string sounds into meaning, not just light, but maybe ancestor or spirit, or watch. Suddenly, the universe is not empty. It's alive with ideas, gods, myths, omens. Whether true or not doesn't matter. What matters is belief, and belief drives behavior as strongly as hunger. This is where you start to glimpse why humans of all the species on this planet will someday dominate it. Neanderthals are strong, skilled, resourceful, but they don't seem to weave networks of hundreds through shared stories. Homo sapiens do. You can tell one group, we are the children of the river spirit, and suddenly dozens of families will cooperate under that idea. Congratulations, you've invented culture, teamwork, and probably the first bedtime stories. But here's the kicker. Language and culture don't just prepare you for tomorrow's hunt. They prepare you for tomorrow's journey. When climate swings open new green corridors, it's not brute strength that gets you across deserts and mountains. It's knowledge passed in words, stored in memory, carried in story. Which valley still has water? Which berries won't kill you? Which stars to follow at night? You sit there by the fire listening to voices rise and fall, watching sparks drift into the sky. You realize something profound. The survival of your people no longer depends just on sharp spears or quick feet. It depends on what lives inside your skull and passes from your lips. Thought, language, culture. And with those tools, the Cage of Africa is starting to look less like a prison and more like a launch pad. The sun beats down on your back as you trudge along a dusty track that winds north. Around you, the world begins to shift. Less of the lush savanna, more open steppe, with thorn bushes and rocky outcrops. You are part of a band that is taking one of the boldest steps in human history, leaving Africa. It doesn't happen in a single dramatic march. There are no banners, no speeches, no stone arch with "Now leaving Africa" carved above it. It's quieter than that. A few families follow the herds a little farther than usual. A group of hunters scout up the valley of the Nile. Another takes the chance when rains open a green corridor across what is now the Sinai. Step by step, camp by camp, the footprints spread north. Around 120,000 years ago, some of these groups reached the Levant, modern-day Israel, Jordan, Lebanon. Imagine the feeling of stepping into this new world. The air is drier, cooler. The plants are different. Oak and pistachio trees grow here, mixed with patches of grassland. Herds of gazelle and wild cattle graze the slopes. It's not a desert wasteland, not yet. It's a land that feels strange but promising. But here's the catch. You're not alone. Tracks in the soil reveal others. Broad footprints, heavier, stockier. These aren't animals. These are Neanderthals. Yes, the cousins. They've been here for thousands of years already, perfectly adapted to this environment. You might catch sight of them from a distance, shorter, barrel-chested, carrying hefty wooden spears wrapped in animal hides. You freeze. They freeze. Do you fight? Trade? Ignore each other? No one knows the answer yet. Still, for now, the land is generous. Water flows in springs, animals are plentiful, and fruiting trees provide food. Your group builds temporary shelters, lean-tos of branches, fires ringed with stones. You feel like pioneers, camping in a land where your species has never set foot before. At night, you stare at the stars from this new vantage point. They are the same stars, but somehow they feel sharper, colder, closer. Yet nature doesn't stay kind for long. Climate shifts again. The rains withdraw, the green corridors snap shut, and the Levant dries into arid land. The rivers shrink, the gazelle herds scatter, and the once friendly land becomes a trap. You struggle to find food, moving camp more often, hunting harder for less reward. The children grow thin, elders collapse on the marches, hunters limp back empty-handed. And so, slowly, painfully, the first experiment of leaving Africa fails. The groups who made it this far can't hold on. Some retreat, beaten back by the desert. Others vanish, their bones left scattered in caves like Skål and Kavse, where archaeologists thousands of centuries later will find them. Your people tried. They stepped beyond Africa, but the world wasn't ready. Or maybe you weren't ready for the world. Still, the memory lingers. Around fires, stories are whispered of the far green lands to the north. Some call them cursed, Some call them blessed, but the memory remains in the collective imagination. And humans don't forget. Not forever. What's most important isn't that the first migration fails, it's that it happened at all. For the first time, Homo sapiens tested their limits, stretched their range, touched the edges of their cradle. The idea is born. We don't belong in just one place. The world is bigger. The world can be ours. Back in Africa, the clans that survive will hunker down again, waiting through cycles of drought and abundance. They'll perfect tools, deepen language, carve ochre with abstract designs. Yes, art is stirring already, and when the climate shifts again, when green corridors open, when opportunities arise, they'll try once more, and next time they won't retreat. For now, though, you stand at the edge of the Levant, your feet in foreign soil, your eyes scanning a horizon that whispers promise and danger in equal measure. The first footprints outside Africa have been pressed into the earth. They won't be the last. The land around you is quiet, too quiet. The cicadas buzz, the grass sways, but there's a tension in the air you can't ignore. You and your band have pushed farther into the Levant, exploring caves, riversides and forests. And then you see them, broad shoulders, thick necks, heavy brows. They move with purpose, their arms powerful, their steps steady. You've just met the neighbours, Neanderthals. They aren't monsters, not brutes, not the caveman cartoon you might picture. They are humans, just not your kind. Their bodies are built for cold climates, shorter limbs, barrel chests, thick bones. If you look into their eyes, you see thought there, intelligence, wariness. They know the land well. They've lived here for millennia. Their fires crackle in caves, long before yours arrive. Their spears are heavy, thrusting weapons designed to bring down massive game like bison or even woolly rhinos. You realize quickly, these people are not an easy rival. Your band observes from a distance at first. You see Neanderthals butchering a red deer, working hides, laughing, or at least making noises that sound like laughter. Children cling to their mother's legs. The scene is unsettling because it's familiar. They're like you, but not you. Same fire, same meat, same family bonds. Yet their features mark them apart. Then, one day, the gap closes. A hunting party stumbles upon theirs at the edge of a river. Spears are raised. Voices shout. Hearts pound. But instead of battle, something else happens. There's a pause, a grunt, a gesture. Maybe even an exchange meat for stone, resin for shells. It's brief, cautious, but it's contact. For the first time, two branches of humanity share space. Of course, not all meetings end so peacefully. Competition is fierce. Game is scarce. Neanderthals know these lands. You are the intruder. Clashes erupt. Stones hurled. Spears thrust. Bodies bloodied. Some groups retreat. Others stand their ground. Survival is a coin toss, and cooperation isn't always the winning side. But here's where things get interesting. Over generations, these encounters aren't just fights, they're relationships. Yes, you've guessed it. Some of your people and theirs share more than tools. They share beds. They have children. You and I, right now, carry echoes of that in our DNA. Modern humans outside Africa, on average about 2 to 4% Neanderthal, which means that while your ancestors fought Neanderthals, they also loved them. Talk about complicated family drama. What did we gain from them? Possibly genes that helped resist disease, adapt to cold, or process new foods. What did they gain from us? Maybe lighter builds, sharper tools, fresh bloodlines. Whatever the exchange, it was intimate enough to leave a permanent mark in who we are. Imagine sitting in a cave, watching a Neanderthal child and a Sapiens child play side by side, giggling in ways that need no translation. The walls flicker with firelight, and on the stone, someone scratches marks or paints with ochre. This isn't just survival anymore. It's culture blending, species blending. But make no mistake, coexistence is not equality. Your species, with its faster innovation, broader networks, and flexible strategies, begins to spread more widely. Neanderthals hold strong in Europe and Western Asia, but you're pressing in. For now, it's a tense balance. Their numbers are steady, yours are growing. The land feels crowded, the future feels uncertain. And yet, as you lean against the cool wall of a cave, the fire warming your face, you realize this: humanity is no longer one story. It's two stories running side by side, overlapping, colliding, mixing. For the first time, Earth has multiple kinds of humans sharing it, but only for a while, because in time, only one will remain. You stand at the edge of Africa again, staring across a narrow stretch of water where the Red Sea squeezes into a bottleneck, the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. On the far side lies the Arabian Peninsula, a harsh land of stone, sand and sparse greenery. To cross this is no small feat. You can almost taste the salt in the air, hear the crash of waves against rocks, feel the fear in your gut. Behind you, the land is tightening with droughts and competition. Ahead of you, the unknown. Around 70,000 years ago, bands of Homo sapiens make this crossing. Not with ships, not with compasses, not with courage slogans carved into stone. With simple rafts, bundles of reeds lashed together, logs tied with fibre. Maybe some simply waited for sea levels to drop during glacial peaks, turning the gap into a narrow channel that could be waded or paddled across. However it happened, people made it. You watch the first families push off, clinging to bundles, eyes wide, hearts hammering. For a few, the sea swallows. For others, land rises again on the far side. Arabia. And Arabia is no welcoming paradise. The peninsula is unforgiving. Rocky deserts stretch to the horizon. Water hides in deep wells or seasonal wadis that flood briefly and then vanish. The sun pounds on your skull, and the wind scours your skin with grit. Imagine walking day after day with no shade, no rivers, no certainty of where food might come. Every survival trick is tested here. You dig for tubers, suck moisture from roots, follow migrating gazelle. You cling to the coast, scavenging shellfish, crabs, anything the tide leaves behind. But humans adapt. Along the coasts of Arabia, you become beachcombers. The sea becomes a pantry. Its tides reliable when the land fails. Mussel shells are pried open, fish are speared in shallows, and fires crackle on beaches under star-strewn skies. Slowly, generation by generation, your people learn to live in this new landscape. Their feet toughen on hot stone, their skin darkens under relentless sun, their stories shift to match the rhythm of desert and tide. Yet Arabia is not empty. You stumble upon evidence of others, stone tools scattered on high ridges, the ghosts of earlier humans who once wandered here. Did Neanderthals or other cousins pass this way before you? Maybe. But if they did, they didn't stay. The land broke them. You, however, keep going. Because Homo sapiens carry a secret weapon: flexibility. You don't specialize in just one environment. You experiment, fail, adjust, and try again. Picture a small group climbing into the highlands of Yemen, following rare rains that turn dry valleys green for a few months. They carve flint into blades thinner and sharper than ever, haft them onto shafts with resin, and use them to cut into hides or hunt gazelle. These innovations, passed from mouth to mouth, hand to hand, make survival possible. And once again, gossip, yes, gossip binds the clan. That family by the coast hoards shellfish. The hunters in the highlands found a spring. Social knowledge spreads as fast as tools, and together they keep the group alive. From Arabia, people begin to split. Some push east, hugging the southern coastlines of Iran, then India. Others turn inland, testing the deserts of Arabia and Persia, losing many along the way. Every step is costly. Some groups vanish entirely, their footprints erased by shifting sands, but others endure, and from them, the great eastward expansion will continue. For now, though, you squat in the sand, prying limpets off rocks, watching the sun sink into the sea. You're aware of the odds stacked against you: dehydration, predators, storms, starvation. Yet something in you refuses to turn back. Maybe it's hunger, maybe it's curiosity, maybe it's the whisper of the same restless urge that pushed the first family onto the raft. Either way, Arabia is now marked by your presence. Africa lies behind. The wider world lies ahead. The door has opened. The sky darkens, but not with storm clouds. It is a deeper, stranger shade, a heavy curtain of ash spreading across the horizon. You taste grit in your mouth. You feel the temperature drop. You hear the muffled cries of animals scattering. Somewhere to the east, a mountain is dying, or rather, exploding. This is the Toba eruption, around 74,000 years ago, one of the largest volcanic events in human history. Imagine a mountain in what is now Sumatra, blowing itself apart with a force thousands of times greater than any modern eruption. The blast hurls rocks miles into the sky. The ground trembles like a wounded beast, and ash billows into the upper atmosphere. For weeks the world shudders. For years it suffers. The ash spreads across continents, blotting out sunlight. Rain patterns collapse. Plants wither, and animals starve. You are living in the shadow of a catastrophe that scientists believe nearly drove Homo sapiens to extinction. Your group feels it immediately. The air grows colder, days shorten, not by hours but by brightness. Noon feels like twilight, and twilight feels like night. The plants you once relied on for roots and berries shrivel. Herds of gazelle and antelope thin out, struggling to find grass. Water holes shrink or stagnate. The smoke in the air burns your throat, stings your eyes. Children cough. Elders grow weak, and hunger gnaws. You dig desperately for tubers that taste bitter and barely sustain you. You crush seeds, strip bark, crack bones for marrow. Fire becomes more precious than ever, not only for cooking, but for warmth against the sudden chill that seeps even into Arabia and India. Some nights you huddle close, pressing together just to share body heat. Others you wander under grey skies, wondering if the world is ending. For many it does. Some groups vanish entirely, their bloodlines ending in caves where no fire ever reignites. Populations shrink, bottlenecking into just a few thousand survivors, scattered across Africa and southern Asia. That's right, humanity teeters on the brink, balanced on the fragile edge of disappearance. Statistically speaking, you probably wouldn't make it through this, but some do, against all odds. Some hold on. How? Flexibility. The same trick that carried you across deserts and seas. You eat what you must. Shellfish clinging to rocks, insects dug from logs, marrow sucked from brittle bones. You adapt your tools, sharpen your cooperation, and above all, you share. Those who hoard die alone, those who split food, who keep fires for the group, who care for the weak. They make it through. Survival isn't about strength, it's about community. And in these desperate times, even imagination helps. Around fires, stories are told, maybe to explain the ash, maybe to comfort frightened children, maybe just to remind one another that life is worth clinging to. The mountain is angry. The spirits are hiding the sun. Explanations may not be true, but they bind people, giving meaning to suffering. Meaning in its own strange way becomes a survival tool. Scientists today argue about how bad the Toba eruption really was, whether it truly froze the world into a volcanic winter, or just caused regional devastation. But standing here in the middle of it, you don't need academic debates. You feel the ash in your lungs. You see the animals dying. You know that every day is a gamble. And yet, even through this, your people endure. The bottleneck leaves its mark. Modern humans today carry the genetic echo of this near death. Almost everyone alive traces back to those few thousand who survived the chaos. It's humbling, isn't it, to think that if one more season of famine had struck, if one more generation had failed, there might be no you, no me, no late-night storytelling under electric lights. But the ash does settle. Slowly the skies lighten. Slowly the plants return. Slowly herds rebuild. And when the world breathes again, your people are still here. Fewer, but tougher. They've endured famine, chill, and death. And now they carry forward not only their genes, but their hard-won resilience. So you tighten your grip on your spear, look east toward the lands that lie beyond India, and know this: if you can survive a world-choking eruption, you can survive anything. The road to new continents is open, and you're still walking it. The shoreline stretches before you, a ribbon of wet sand gleaming under the sun. The tide rolls in, leaving behind scattered shells, stranded fish, and the faint smell of salt. You and your band move carefully, bare feet sinking into the sand, spears at the ready. Behind you lies Arabia, dry and punishing. Ahead of you lies India. The journey here is not across barren desert, but along the coasts. What some scientists now call the Southern Coastal Highway. It's not a road, of course, but a lifeline of food, water, and survival. Around 65,000, 70,000 years ago, your people begin hugging shorelines. Why? Because the sea, unlike inland deserts, offers something dependable. Every low tide is a buffet. Mussels clinging to rocks, crabs hiding in pools, seaweed drying on the shore. Fish can be trapped in shallow lagoons, turtles dug from sand, birds' eggs plucked from rocky cliffs. No one ever starves completely by the sea. And so, humans, your kind, become coast walkers, slipping east along the rim of Asia. The land changes quickly. You leave Arabia's stony barrenness and enter southern Iran, where jagged mountains rise inland, barren but dramatic. The coast is narrow here, a thin band between cliffs and sea. Camps are set close to caves, fires smoke at the entrances, and shell middens. The piles of eaten mollusks grow high. These are your people's footprints, not stone monuments, not temples, but heaps of shells marking the march of survival. Push farther, and the monsoon climate greets you. In what is now India, rains pour for months, swelling rivers, greening the land. Then for months, scorching sun cracks the soil dry. The cycle is brutal, but predictable, and you adapt during monsoon. You fish swollen rivers, gather fruits, and trap game that ventures too close to flooded plains. In dry seasons, you retreat toward the coast again, relying on the endless tide. Here, innovation blooms. Spears are refined into lighter, sharper projectiles tipped with microliths, tiny stone blades glued into wooden shafts with resin and sinew. Nets are woven from plant fibers, snares set in game trails, baskets shaped to trap fish. The pace of invention quickens because necessity demands it, and with each new trick, survival feels just a little more secure. But let's be honest, it's not all progress and feasting. India's forests hum with danger. Tigers prowl the shadows, crocodiles lurk in rivers, snakes coil in the underbrush. At night, the air fills with the sound of insects. So many that sleep becomes a battle. Malaria, parasites, infections, the price of tropical abundance. You scratch at bites, shiver with fever, sweat under the humid canopy. Yet still you move forward, because staying still is death, and walking means life. What about the people you meet along the way? Some groups may have stayed behind in Arabia, others in Persia. Some drift inland and vanish into the deserts. But here, as you walk the Indian coasts, you meet cousins, other Homo sapiens, distant branches that split off earlier, maybe even relatives who took a different route. Do you fight them? Join them? Marry them? Probably all of the above. Humanity has always been messy that way. As centuries turn into millennia, your path leaves marks. Shell beads carved for ornament are left in caves. Ochre streaks walls with symbols, dots, handprints, lines. They don't tell stories the way books do, but they whisper of minds that wanted beauty, memory, permanence. Even amid the hard marches, someone stopped to decorate themselves, to leave a mark. That's not just survival, that's living. Imagine this. You sit on a warm boulder by the Arabian Sea, sharpening a microlith under the fading light. Behind you, children chase crabs with squeals of laughter. Women roast fish on a spit, their smoke spiraling into the humid air. Men return from checking snares, one carrying a monkey slung over his shoulder. The sky glows orange and pink, reflected in the endless sea. For the first time, you feel not trapped by the environment, but guided by it. The ocean isn't just an obstacle, it's a highway, leading you eastward, step by step, tide by tide. And so, generation after generation, you keep walking. from Oman to Iran, from India to Sri Lanka, from the lush deltas of Bengal to the mangroves of Myanmar. Each camp rises and falls. Each midden of shells grows and is abandoned. Your people are no longer just Africans. You are becoming a species of the world, shaped by every coast you follow. One day, much farther ahead, this same path will carry some of you into Southeast Asia. Then, astonishingly, across open seas into Australia. But for now, your feet sink into wet sand. The horizon glimmers with promise, and the waves lap steadily at your ankles, as if urging you forward. The journey east continues. The air grows heavy with humidity as you push farther east, leaving behind India's coasts and stepping into lands that feel like an entirely new world. The forests here are dense, tangled, alive with calls you've never heard before. Cicadas buzz in deafening waves, birds scream in neon colors, monkeys crash through branches above your head. This is Southeast Asia, somewhere around 60,000 years ago, and it feels like the land itself is trying to swallow you whole. Everywhere you look, life teems. Bamboo thickets shoot up overnight, rivers overflow with crocodiles and fish, and the trees drip with fruit so sweet they almost sting your teeth. But abundance is tricky. It hides as much danger as it promises. You reach for a glossy red berry, and an elder slaps your hand away. Poison. You take water from a stream, only to double over later with cramps. You step into tall grass, and the hiss of a king cobra freezes your blood. The jungle gives, but it tests. Always. Your tools evolve again. In open savannas, spears ruled. Here, in tangled forests, you need smaller, sharper blades, tools for cutting vines, carving paths, shaping wood into traps. Fire becomes harder to keep. The rains douse it. The damp chokes it. But when you succeed, smoke keeps mosquitoes away and clears patches of undergrowth. You invent new tricks, carrying embers in hollowed gourds, banking coals under ash to survive rainstorms. The jungle demands creativity, and your people deliver. Food shifts too. Along rivers, you spearfish, gather freshwater mussels, and snare animals that come to drink. In the forest, you dig roots, climb trees for honey, and raid nests for eggs. Bows are not here yet, but throwing sticks, yes, boomerangs, ancient cousins, start to appear. Lighter than spears, perfect for knocking birds from branches. You grin at the success, dinner with less effort. Not bad for a day's work. But it's not just the land that changes, it's you. Slowly, gradually, your people adapt to monsoon cycles, tropical diseases, and the challenges of dense forests. You notice skin growing darker, sweat flowing more easily, bodies built for endurance in humidity. Evolution doesn't announce itself with a trumpet. It creeps in quietly, shaping generation after generation. And then there are the encounters, because Southeast Asia is not empty. Other hominins have walked here before. Deep in caves you find signs of Denisovans, another cousin species, mysterious, powerful, known mostly through DNA that still lingers in some of us today. They were here, in these forests and mountains, long before you arrived. Did you meet them face to face? Maybe. Did you fight them? Probably. Did you also share children with them? Definitely. The evidence is in us. Your journey east is not just conquest, it's entanglement, blending, absorbing. Humanity is less a clean line, and more a braided rope of species, each adding threads. Imagine pausing in a limestone cave, dripping with stalactites. A fire flickers, shadows dance on the walls, and someone grinds ochre into powder. Fingers smear red handprints onto the stone. Your mark, your presence, your statement. We were here. Thousands of years later, those prints remain, a whisper across deep time. It's not just survival anymore, it's identity. The forests open onto coastlines again, dotted with islands rising like stepping stones. Your people gather bamboo and logs, lashing them into crude rafts. The sea here is different. Warm, turquoise, dotted with fish, calm enough in places to cross. You can smell salt and see land not far across the strait. Curiosity pushes you. Hunger pushes you. And so you push off. The first island hops begin. Sumatra, Java, Borneo. Island life is both gift and curse. The seas provide endlessly. Fish, turtles, shellfish, seabirds. But storms are brutal. Wave unpredictable. Sometimes entire rafts vanish, never seen again. Yet enough succeed that slowly, step by step, island by island, your people spread deeper into the archipelagos. And everywhere you go, you leave marks. Shell beads traded between islands, stone blades sharper than before, charcoal buried in caves that tell of fires burning in places humans have never touched before. You are explorers without maps, sailors without compasses, yet you carry something better: memory. Each story of a crossing, each landmark, each lucky fishing ground is spoken, repeated, sung, until the knowledge lives longer than the body. Here in Southeast Asia, humanity becomes something it has never been before. Global. Your footsteps are no longer confined to Africa or Arabia. They echo now through jungles, rivers, and islands that stretch toward the Pacific. And the strangest part, you're just getting started. Because just beyond these islands, across seas that seem impossible, lies a land that no human has ever touched. A land of giant beasts, strange marsupials, and entirely new horizons. And somehow, you're going to reach it. The sea glimmers before you, wide and endless, a horizon that seems to stretch beyond imagination. For most of human history, water has been a boundary, a wall that cages you in. But now, around 65,000 years ago, your people do something extraordinary. They step off the continent, into the unknown, and reach a new world, Australia. It starts with rafts, simple ones, made of bamboo poles or hollowed logs, lashed together with vines. Nothing you'd call seaworthy by modern standards. No sails, no rudders, no GPS, not even a written map. Just memory, courage, and the stars above. Families gather bundles of food, dried fish, roots, gourds of water, and push off into the surf. The waves lift the raft, tilt it, threaten to hurl everyone into the sea. Children clutch their mothers. Hunters grip poles, trying to steady the craft. Every splash feels like a monster waiting to drag you down. And yet, you keep going. Island by island, you advance. Timor, Sulawesi, the scattered stepping stones of the Indonesian archipelago. Some crossings are short, just an hour's paddle. Others are longer, horizons vanishing behind you. The sea surrounding you like an endless desert of water. Some rafts vanish into storms, swallowed whole. Others drift off course, never to return, but enough succeed. Enough reach land, and land means survival. Then one day, the final crossing is made. You step onto a continent no human has ever seen before. Australia, a land of eucalyptus forests, endless deserts, and animals so strange they seem drawn from dreams. Kangaroos bound across the plains, their tails thumping the ground. Wombats shuffle in burrows. Emus dart through scrub. And then there are the giants. Diprotodons, the size of rhinos. Massive flightless birds. Kangaroos taller than a man. Megafauna everywhere, unfamiliar and unafraid, because they've never seen a human before. For the first time, you are the alien invader. Your people adapt quickly. Spears are tipped with sharper stone flakes. Fire is used to burn grasslands, flushing out game, reshaping the land into easier hunting grounds. This practice, firestick farming, transforms the continent. Forests shrink, grasslands spread, animals shift their ranges. You're not just surviving in Australia, you're reshaping it. And art blooms here, in rock shelters, deep in caves. Your people grind ochre into powders of red, yellow, and white. Fingers and brushes paint animals, handprints, and mysterious symbols onto stone walls. These paintings, some of the oldest in the world, whisper across tens of thousands of years. They are not just decoration, they are story, memory, identity. When you press your hand against the wall and blow ochre around it, you're saying, I was here. We were here. This is our land now. Life in Australia is harsh, but rich. Along rivers, fish and turtles are speared. On coasts, Shellfish are harvested, their discarded shells piling into middens. In forests, yams and roots are dug. Seeds are pounded into flour in the interior. You track kangaroos, stalking them for hours under blistering heat, spears poised for the chase. Every part of the land becomes known, named, storied. Songs are sung to map the land, songs that describe where water lies, where animals roam, where ancestors walked. These are not just tunes, they are survival manuals encoded in rhythm. But paradise does not last forever. The arrival of humans in Australia coincides with the disappearance of many of the great beasts. Diprotodons vanish. Giant birds die out. The marsupial lion, yes, a lion with a pouch, disappeared. Whether it was overhunting, fire, or climate shifts, the outcome is clear. Human presence reshapes ecosystems. For the first time, you see what happens when Homo sapiens enters a world untouched. We change it forever. And yet, life goes on. Over generations, you become Australian, not in the modern sense of flags and borders, but in the sense of belonging deeply to this continent. Your stories are tied to the land. Your songs guide you across it. Your art records your bond with it. This is no temporary campsite. This is home. Think about that. In less than 10,000 years, your species has gone from the savannas of East Africa to the deserts and forests of Australia, crossing thousands of miles, multiple continents, and even seas. You've met other humans, fought some, loved others, blended with them. You've faced droughts, ice, eruptions, predators, and still you've spread. And now you're here, on the farthest edge of Asia, staring at the Pacific Ocean. The world no longer feels like an endless cage. It feels like an open canvas, and you're just getting started. The wind cuts sharp and cold against your face. The landscape has changed once again, not humid forests or salt-sprayed coasts, but a vast sweep of steppe and tundra, stretching flat and grey as far as your eyes can see. This is Central Asia, somewhere around 55,000 years ago, and it feels like you've wandered into another planet. Gone are the parrots and banyan trees of Southeast Asia. Here, shaggy mammoths lumber slowly across the horizon, tusks curving like ivory scythes. Herds of woolly rhinoceroses paw at frozen ground, scraping through snow for brittle grasses. Reindeer cluster in tight groups, hooves clicking on the hard earth, while packs of wolves shadow them like dark ghosts. The air smells of musk, dung, and cold. Yes, cold has a smell, sharp and metallic, like stone dust on your tongue. You and your band press forward, wrapped in furs stitched crudely with bone needles. Fire is no longer just comfort here, it's survival. At night the temperature plunges, so quickly you can hear ice forming on puddles. Without fire, you'd freeze before dawn, but keeping it alive is constant work, carrying embers in hollow bones, feeding fires with dried dung when wood is scarce, huddling so close to the flames your hair singes. Food is harder to find, but when you succeed, the rewards are huge. A single mammoth, if you're lucky, and very, very bold, feeds an entire group for weeks. The hunt is perilous. Dozens of hunters drive the beast toward a pit or cliff. Spears fly, shouts echo, and danger looms. One swipe of a trunk, one wrong step, and bones crack, lives end. Still, when the animal finally collapses, victory erupts in cheers. Fires blaze, meat roasts, fat drips and hisses. The hides become shelter, the bones tools, the tusks carved into ornaments. Nothing is wasted. This harsh land pushes you to innovate. Spears grow lighter, designed to throw farther. Scrapers, sharpened to slice through thick hides. Needles carved from bone, let you stitch clothes tight enough to keep the wind out. Some groups even shape shelters from mammoth bones, ribs arched like the frame of a house, hides stretched across them, smoke rising from fire pits inside. Imagine sitting under one of those domes of bone, warm while the blizzard rages outside. But Central Asia doesn't forgive easily. The open plains offer little cover, and predators here are relentless. Steppe lions stalk silently, larger than any lions in Africa. Hyenas, massive, bone-crushing beasts follow your camps waiting for scraps or for weakness. Wolves howl in eerie harmony at night, their eyes glowing just beyond the firelight, and the cold itself is a predator gnawing at fingers, stiffening limbs, dulling minds, until you collapse and never rise again. And yet, in this frozen corridor, something extraordinary happens. Humans begin spreading knowledge across vast distances. Camps miles apart trade flint, shells, ochre. A tool style invented in one valley appears hundreds of miles away. Stories, alliances, maybe even songs ripple outward, carried by feet and firelight. For the first time, humanity feels like a network, not just isolated clans, but strands of a web stretching wider and wider. You wonder about the others here. Neanderthals still exist in the West, holding on in caves and valleys. Denisovans linger in some of these mountain ranges, at least for a time. The bones of one young girl, half Neanderthal, half Denisovan, will one day be found in these very lands. It's proof that where paths cross, boundaries blur. Even here, on the frozen steppes, the human story is not clean, not simple, it's tangled and shared. Imagine trudging across this endless grassland, snow crunching underfoot, the wind lashing your face. The sky is pale, the sun weak, but you keep walking. Behind you lies Southeast Asia, warm and abundant. Ahead of you lies Siberia, colder still, harsher still. Yet you march, because movement is survival, and survival is what your kind does best. By now, Homo sapiens are no longer just an African species. You are everywhere, in deserts, in jungles, on islands, and now in frozen tundra. Each new land tests you, shapes you, remakes you. And here, in Central Asia, the cold is forging something new, resilience that will carry you even farther, to the last great continents left untouched. For now, though, you pull your furs tighter, press closer to the fire, and whisper stories into the dark. The flames crackle, the snow falls, and the march goes on. The cold deepens as you follow the steppe corridors westward. The horizon rolls into hills, then forests, and finally caves hidden beneath limestone cliffs. You are entering Europe, roughly 45,000 years ago, a land locked in the grip of the Ice Age. The rivers run wide and icy. The winds cut sharp, and glaciers loom to the north like frozen walls. You've stepped into Neanderthal country. The land is raw and breathtaking. Herds of reindeer sweep across the tundra, their hooves clattering in a rhythm that echoes for miles. Bison crowd the plains, snorting clouds into the frosty air. Woolly mammoths roam like moving fortresses, tusks glittering with frost. Wolves track these herds, their cries haunting the night. The smell of smoke clings to the valleys where other fires burn, not always yours. Your group claims caves as home. Fires crackle inside, licking soot onto the ceilings. Hides cover the ground. Tools scatter across stone floors, and on the walls, paintings. You grip a lump of ochre, smear it into red streaks, and suddenly a mammoth stands on stone. Fingers trace horses, aurochs, even abstract shapes that no animal explains. This is art as magic, hunting charm, memory, or maybe just beauty. Either way, these paintings outlast bodies. Thousands of years later, people will step into Lascaux and Chauvet and see what you see tonight. Firelight flickering over animals that still seem alive. But Europe isn't empty. The Neanderthals are here, entrenched, adapted, and skilled. Their stocky builds and powerful arms serve them well in the cold. Their tools, heavy spears and stone scrapers, are perfectly suited to this land. You encounter them not as strangers this time, but as rivals. The forests echo with clashes, sapiens hunting the same game, drinking from the same streams, lighting fires in the same caves. Sometimes violence erupts. Spears fly, stones crack skulls, blood soaks into snow. Other times an uneasy truce forms. You trade shells for hides, meat for stone, and in rare moments, you mix lovers bridging species, children born carrying both lineages. Still, something is shifting. Neanderthal numbers are dwindling. while yours are climbing. Why? Perhaps it's your lighter bodies, burning fewer calories in lean times. Perhaps it's your tools, those new blade points, finer and sharper than the heavy Neanderthal spear. Or perhaps it's your networks. You don't just live in isolated pockets. You trade across long distances, share innovations, swap mates to avoid inbreeding. Where Neanderthals stay local, you stretch like veins through the land. The hunts here test you. Picture chasing a reindeer across frozen plains, your lungs searing with cold, your breath clouding the air. Spears fly, one pierces, the animal stumbles, the group rushes, finishing the kill before wolves can claim it. Blood steams in the snow, meat is carved quickly, packed into hides, dragged back to the cave. Victory, but fragile. Tomorrow, hunger waits again. And yet, even amid this harshness, there's wonder. On clear nights, the aurora dances above, ribbons of green, purple, and red streaking the sky. Around the fire, voices rise in awe. Some whisper of spirits in the heavens, others of ancestors watching. Belief, myth, story, all grow stronger in the dark. The colder and harsher the land, the warmer the stories become. Your presence spreads rapidly. Within a few thousand years, Homo sapiens are scattered across Europe, carving bone flutes, decorating themselves with beads of ivory and shell, leaving footprints in caves that will survive into the future. Neanderthals, meanwhile, are fading. Their camps shrink, their numbers thin, their fires go out one by one. You may not realize it yet, but history is tipping. Soon, Europe will belong entirely to you. For now, though, you sit at the cave mouth, watching snowflakes spiral down. The fire glows at your back, the paintings shimmer on the walls, and outside, the mammoth herds trudge through the white silence. You've left Africa far behind. You've crossed deserts, coasts, jungles, and tundras, and now, here in Ice Age Europe, your species plants roots that will endure for tens of thousands of years. The world feels both conquered and endless, and you've only just arrived. The cave is quiet tonight, quieter than usual. The fire pops and hisses, smoke curling upward into the blackened ceiling, but outside the wind howls with a lonely edge. You step into the snow, and for the first time in living memory, there are no Neanderthal fires glowing on the next ridge. Their camps, once so familiar, are gone. Their voices, once carried on the night air, are silent. You are witnessing the twilight of another kind of human, the lost Neanderthals, fading from the world around 40,000 years ago. For tens of thousands of years they were here, masters of Ice Age Europe, hunters of bison and mammoth, survivors of endless winters. Their bodies were built for this, thick-boned, strong, resilient. And yet, one by one, their fires go out. Why? It's not simple. Climate shifts, squeeze the land, prey grows scarcer, and as your numbers swell, theirs shrink. Each harsh winter, each failed hunt, each isolated clan lost to hunger or disease. Slowly, the balance tips. It wasn't always war. Do you remember the encounters, tense standoffs on riverbanks, cautious trades of meat for stone? Even children with blended blood, proof of love across species. But competition was relentless. Where Neanderthals survived in small, tight groups, you thrived in networks. Where they relied on heavy spears, you experimented with finer blades, bone needles, and bows yet to come. Where they endured, you adapt. And yet, as you trace a hand over the soot-stained cave walls, you feel a pang of loss. These weren't beasts, they were people. Their hands left marks in caves, their tools shaped lives, their eyes carried thought and memory. They buried their dead, placed flowers by graves, cared for the injured. One skeleton shows a man who lived years despite crippling injuries, proof his group fed and sheltered him. Compassion isn't only sapiens, it was theirs too. But compassion alone can't beat numbers. Around this time, Neanderthal groups dwindle into isolated pockets. Maybe a family in a Spanish cave, a few hunters in the Caucasus, a last band in Crimea. Each generation, fewer children are born. Each year, knowledge is lost. One winter, the last campfire is lit, the last story told, the last Neanderthal child lulled to sleep. And then silence. Yet not all is truly lost. In your blood, in mine, echoes remain. Most people alive outside Africa carry about 2 to 4% Neanderthal DNA, a gift from those old encounters passed down through thousands of years. Genes that help fight disease, strengthen skin, adjust to colder climates, so even as their bodies vanish, pieces of them live on, woven into us. Around your fire, sapiens' voices rise in song. Flutes carved from bone play haunting notes that drift into the night. Beads of ivory glint on necklaces, ochre paints skin, laughter rings as stories are told. You look around and realize this is a turning point. The world belongs to you now, not just Africa, not just Arabia, not just India and Australia, but Europe too. And yet, part of you wonders, when your kind is gone someday, what will remain? What traces will survive in caves, in bones, in the blood of future beings? For now you can't know. For now you sit in the firelight, snow falling soft beyond the cave mouth, and carry forward the torch that others have dropped. The last Neanderthal embers fade into darkness, and only Sapiens' fires remain. The wind grows sharper as you trudge farther northeast, across a land so wide it feels endless. Siberia lies ahead, vast, frozen and unforgiving. Around 40,000 years ago, your people begin pressing into this frontier, following herds of mammoth and reindeer across the steppe. Each step crunches on snow that never seems to melt. Each breath burns with icy air. You wonder if any human could truly live here. And yet, here you are. The land is both empty and alive. To your left, an expanse of tundra stretches flat to the horizon, dotted with scraggly shrubs. To your right, a dark forest of larch trees creaks in the wind. On the plains, herds of reindeer sweep past like living rivers, their antlers clattering as they run. Massive mammoths plod in groups, their shaggy coats dusted with frost, tusks gleaming white in the sun. Steppe bison paw the frozen soil, steam rising from their nostrils. Everywhere you turn, life thrums beneath the snow. But every animal you see is both opportunity and challenge. Dinner, clothing, shelter, or danger. Your camp is simple. Hides stretched over mammoth bones, snow packed against the edges for insulation. Fires roar in the center, smoke rising through a hole cut at the top. The heat inside is fragile, a bubble of life in a world of ice. Step outside, and frostbite nips fingers in minutes. Children are swaddled in furs. Mothers sew hides into boots with bone needles. Hunters sharpen spears until their hands bleed from cold. Survival here isn't about comfort, it's about endurance. And yet, your people do more than endure. You invent harpoons with barbed tips for fishing under ice. Sleds pulled by dogs. Yes, wolves slowly becoming companions. Clothing tailored tightly layered for insulation. Some groups carve small figurines from ivory. Fat-bellied women with exaggerated curves, symbols of fertility and survival in a land where both are fragile. Art doesn't vanish in the cold. If anything, it thrives, a reminder that life is about more than meat and fire. But why here? Why push into such a brutal land? The answer is simple. Survival demands it. Populations back south grow, resources stretch thin, and curiosity pulls you forward. Step by step, camp by camp, you follow the herds farther into the frozen north. Each migration leaves behind ash, bones, and tools, breadcrumbs on the trail of human expansion. From here, the path bends east, across rivers like the Lena and the Yenisei, through forests and tundra. Your people advance. The land grows harsher still, winters longer, nights darker, and yet your groups adapt, always moving, always learning. Soon, you stand on the far edge of Asia, where the land almost kisses another world. Across the narrow Beringian plain, at this time, not ocean but frozen grassland, lies North America. You don't know it yet, but this crossing will come. It may be tens of thousands of years later, during an ice age when sea levels drop low, exposing a land bridge between Siberia and Alaska. Hunters will follow mammoth herds across, step by step, until they find themselves in an entirely new world, the Americas. For now you gaze across the white expanse, snow crunching underfoot, your breath clouding in the air. Behind you, Africa lies impossibly far away. Ahead, the unknown stretches farther still. You've crossed deserts, jungles, oceans, and now tundra. And even here, at the world's frozen edge, the fire of humanity burns. One day, that fire will leap continents again. The fire crackles softly in the chill night air, and you sit close, rubbing your hands together, watching sparks drift upward into the darkness. Around you the clan is quiet, children asleep under furs, hunters stretched out, women humming low songs as they mend hides by the light of embers. This is the end of a journey that began 200,000 years ago, in the savannas of East Africa. You've walked deserts, crossed seas, hacked through jungles, hunted in frozen plains, painted in caves, and pressed footprints into every corner of the old world. And now, as you look east across the Birinian plains toward a world still untouched, you realize humanity has become global. Why did we leave Africa? Hunger, yes. Thirst, yes. But also curiosity. The push of droughts and the pull of greener valleys. The drive to follow herds, to seek rivers, to chase horizons. We left because the land shifted beneath us, because survival demanded movement. But deeper still, we left because something in us refuses to stay still, that restless spark, the one that made someone step onto a raft bound for Australia, or carve a story in ochre on a cave wall. That spark defines us. The migrations matter because they changed everything. With each step, our people met cousins, Neanderthals, Denisovans, and absorbed pieces of them into ourselves. With each new land, we adapted desert skin, forest tools, tundra furs. With each crossing, we carried knowledge, stories, songs, leaving echoes in art, beads, fire pits, and bones. By the time we stand here 40,000 years ago, humanity is no longer one small band huddled in Africa. Humanity is a web stretched across the earth. The web endures. Every listener tonight, every one of you, carries this story in your body. In your DNA, traces of bottlenecks and crossings remain. In your languages, echoes of the first words ripple. In your myths and dreams, the restless urge to move, to seek, to wonder, still whispers. The migrations did not end in Siberia or in the Americas. They continue today in planes and ships, in cities that swell with millions, in stories that circle the globe. We are still walking. We are still leaving Africa over and over again. So you sit there by the fire, stars wheeling above, the cold pressing close, and you feel the immensity of it all. The silence of deserts, the roar of volcanoes, the cries of newborn children carried across oceans, the laughter of people who never knew you, but who are, in truth, your kin. The human journey is not finished. It never will be. And now, as the story slows, let the fire burn lower, the voices fade, the wind softens. Picture yourself lying back on the earth, wrapped in furs, the stars vast and infinite above. Breathe slower, let your chest rise and fall in rhythm with the night. The hard edges of survival blur now, the dangers slip away. What remains is quiet. See the embers glow, warm against the dark. Hear the hush of snow, the distant call of an owl. The mammoths, the deserts, the seas, they all drift into memory, like waves receding from the shore. You are safe here, with the fire at your side and the long story of humanity behind you. Feel the weight of the journey lighten. The hunger, the fear, the endless walking. They dissolve, leaving only stillness. You carry within you the strength of all those who came before, the resilience of survivors, the curiosity of wanderers, the imagination of storytellers. Their footsteps are your heartbeat. Their fire is your breath. Let the stars blur into gentle light. Let the air grow calm. Let your body rest as though the long migration has finally ended in a place of peace. No predators wait, no hunger gnaws, only warmth, only safety, only quiet belonging to the earth itself. Close your eyes, knowing that the journey goes on without you for now. The story carries forward as it always has, as it always will. You are part of it, and it is part of you. So drift now into sleep with the whispers of ancient fires still glowing in your mind. The world is wide, but tonight you are home. Good night. Sweet dreams.